Do you want a completely expandable iron farm that uses only 6 villagers and 1 zombie? In fact, it could just be 3 villagers and 1 zombie, or you can expand it. It churns out loads of iron, and it's funny watching that zombie float around in that minecart. I'm going to show you how. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on what time you're watching this next episode from me, Avomance, in my farm tutorial series. Today, I'm showing you an iron farm that works in 1:14:4 and produces somewhere between 10 and 12 stacks of iron per hour. This is completely expandable, so you could increase it to significantly more than that. I'm just using a simple 2-pod system. You could expand that out to 8 pods if you wanted to, very, very easily. But it churns the iron out. I'm going to show you how to make it now. So how does this farm work? It's not that tricky, actually. You've got 3 villagers with 3 different workstations and 3 beds, so they can work and sleep in a pod at each end of this system. Each end is in excess of 20 blocks away from each other, so as a result, the iron golems at one end do not register in the eyesight of the villagers at the other end. And the zombie goes round and round and round in this circuit, and every time he comes to the end, the open end of the villager pod, he goes over a detector rail, which causes it to turn off the powered rail for just a few seconds, but long enough to cause sufficient panic to reset the clocks of these poor scared villagers. That will then, about every 30 seconds ish at each end, release a golem into the wild, which will be washed down into the collection system at the bottom, which causes plenty of iron for you to build the stuff you need. Let's get on with building it. Now, to make this the way I've made it with 2 villager stations, remember you could do it with 1 or you could do it with more, you are going to need 442 structural blocks. I've used stone bricks, 6 chests, 5 hoppers, 9 buckets of water, 13 signs, 2 buckets of lava, 48 glass blocks, 56 stone brick stairs, but they are optional. You're going to need 108 slabs, 6 workstations. I recommend that they're different workstations. 6 beds, 10 gates, 78 rails, 22 power rails, 2 detector rails, 4 comparators, 18 redstone dust, 2 redstone torches, 2 normal torches, which are also optional, 4 levers, 12 trapdoors, a minecart, a name tag, I've called it Bob. You'll need blocks for making the water elevators, and down at the bottom, you're probably going to want to fence off and light up the area where the chests are. Let's get on with it. Find yourself a nice open space with plenty of room. You don't want there being any overhanging rocks that could obscure you if you're about 20 or 30 blocks up, which you will be very shortly. Dig yourself out a hole and put in a chest. Take out the 2 in front of it and come around the back and pop in some steps. That means you can easily access that chest. Put in another row of chests on top by shift clicking on top, shift clicking in the side, and then a third top and side. Come around the back, pick one, doesn't matter. Put in a hopper, shift click into the back, and then above it and above it. Put one on either side of that last one, and that is all the hoppers you are going to need. You then need to build up your structure around it, which should be 1, 2, 3, 4, a 5x5 square all the way around, like that. Pop a torch in the middle just to light that area up. 1, that will stop any light updates of things happening around it, and 2, it will stop any mobs from spawning inside. Build up another level of platform, and then across here make it flat. Then get yourself your glass, and what we're going to be doing, we're going to put in a glass layer all the way around here like this. Cover over the top of the chest. Do not worry, that top chest will still open because the glass is a transparent block. Then get a water bucket and put a water bucket in the corner there, and that is all you need. That is going to drop any items flowing into these hoppers, and as a result you don't have to use up 6 more hoppers. Goodness knows you're going to be using enough iron up there. 2 more rows of glass all the way around because you need to make yourself a nice little chamber to cook your iron golems in. Everybody knows they like to see the iron golems cooking, which is why you're doing it out of glass. But in reality, it doesn't have to be grass. This could be cobble or any other block that is not going to burn. That not burning bit is actually very, very important. Then come to the side And on the level above the water, not the water level, not too above it, the level above the water level, put 3 signs on that back wall. And then using shift click, put another set of signs on top of those signs, and shift click again, another sign on all of those, like that. So what that's going to do is that is going to suspend your lava. If you then put a bucket of lava in each corner, that will flow beautifully across those signs. And if you come down, you can see you've got effectively a lava blade that is going to cook the heads of the iron golems, but it is not going to cook the feet. And the iron will drop out the feet, and as a result, it will collect in the hoppers. Then grab yourself another row, but I'm using stone now. I'm fed up with this glass lark. Let's get some stone on there, and you've got a nice 3x3 opening in a 5x5 circle. Up on top of your platform, I want you to build out another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more blocks. You've got your original 5x5 ring here, 5 more blocks. And on the outside, what I like to do is put some upside down steps. You absolutely don't have to do that. That is entirely optional. But I like upside down steps because it just gives for a nicer finish around the edge. If you wanted to, you could just like do that and put a block on the outside. But I just prefer the look, frankly. So then get yourself a ring all the way around the outside using the same block. Or if you want to, use a different block. This one does not have to be fireproof. So you could use wood if you wanted to. You could use glass. You can use anything that will retain water and get it all the way around. So you've got what's effectively a tray that looks a little bit like this. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 long. Then this bit is very important. Put a sign on each corner like this. Perfect. And once you've done that, and not until you've done that, put yourself either maybe an ice block if you wish, or some water in each of these corners, and that water will then flow right across and ever so slightly over the edge of that large pit. And it hangs over but doesn't go in and messes up your lava because those signs keep that water suspended. We're now going to do a little bit of towering up, and we start one side and do it all on one side, and then we go to the other. You are also going to need to eventually construct a bubble column to transport villagers up, and also just one single zombie. Now, I'm not going to go into how to do a bubble tower, but there is a really good video of Frills on the AlphaCraft server. I'm going to link it in the description below. Go and watch that, and you'll see how easy it is to get villagers and zombies up a bubble tower in survival. He's a genius. It's absolutely brilliant, and he's explained it far better than I will. So I recommend you go and look at that one once you've done the building bit. You don't do that until right towards the end. So come right to the middle, and we want to go up 20 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 18, 19, 20. Almost didn't make it then. And then using crouch click, come out 1, 2, and on this side another 1, 2, make another row, and then a third row at the back like that. So you've got a 3x5 platform. We're then going to trim this platform off by coming out and shift clicking to make an edge, get rid of that block, and then bring this edge all the way around. And again, I'm pressing shift click, so as you've got a wall around the outside of your single platform that points over your water. Then get yourself some temporary blocks. Doesn't matter what they are. You can use dirt or wall or something. Doesn't matter. Put some blocks there, and then you want to get yourself some fence gates. And with those fence gates facing this direction straight out, go 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Personally, aesthetically, I prefer them being pushed open outwards, but if you would rather kind of bring yourself out using blocks and push them inwards, that is entirely up to you. It works both ways. Now we're going to create the villager pod, which comes out of the center of the back of this. Again, crouch click and go 1, 2. You only need to be that far out. Then I want you to get 3 different villager workstations. Now the reason you want to go for 3 different ones is because then you can very easily see that your villagers are associated with the right workstation. So kind of shift click them all on. So I've just gone, it doesn't matter what, literally does not matter what they are. So I've got a loom, a barrel, and a smoker. Don't go for the ones where they can go inside them, like the cauldron or the composter. I find that they can sometimes get a little bit stuck and it causes some problems. And also you need to put some redstone dust. So shift click redstone dust on there. The reason you're redstone dusting them is these are actually spawnable blocks for your iron golem, and you don't want them to be able to do that, so the redstone dust will stop it. Then come past, again shift click, get yourself another 2 rows, and then get a bed. Put a bed with the head of the bed on this end, so you've got the head of the bed furthest away from your golem spawning platform, just over here. Get yourself a couple of temporary blocks and pop them on like that. You don't need these, they're just temporary. And on top of that top one, put yourself a slab. That is a bottom slab. As a result of it being a bottom slab, it is not spawnable. Remove the temporary block and complete the bottom slab, and then bring yourself the row of bottom slabs out, one past the beds like that. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 slabs. Repeat on the other side. So again, get yourself a temporary block, pop it on the side there, pop it up, get rid of your temporary blocks, and put it one past like that. This is going to start to keep the villagers in, so they literally don't fall out of your area. They have a tendency, when they go into panic, of literally lobbing themselves off, and it is not healthy, frankly. Then come around and create a horseshoe. Leave a gap for yourself at the moment, because if you don't have that gap, you're going to have some problems. Then get yourself another block, again this is temporary, and put it on top of that block. That's going to give you a gap, because this is a bottom slab and it can't build itself on top of a bottom slab. But that's great, because that then gives you the guide for where your next bottom slab is going to go. Pop it again exactly in the same way. Make sure you put it in the right place. Do the same on the other side, exactly like that. So you can see we're building up an area that the villagers just physically can't get out of. At the end here, on the second row, get yourself 3 wooden trapdoors like that. Make sure they're closed. You'll need to shift click to get that last one. That will stop the villagers from being able to throw themselves off bodily in this direction. If it's open, however, they will be able to get through. So don't have them open, make sure they are closed. They won't open them themselves. It does not, however, obscure the view in this direction, and that bit's really important. For the sake of symmetry, I like to put 3 trapdoors across this end as well, because you can then open it. You're going to need to be able to access this bit when you put your water bubble column coming up, putting your villagers into your system towards the end. However, you could leave it completely open and fill it out with these bottom slabs if you wish. It's entirely up to you. Finally, for this pod, come up with a few more temporary blocks, stick another temporary block there, put another slab there, and then you can ring this completely off. However, with this one, you actually want to make it a complete roof. So remove that all the way around. There you go, like that. So that roof completes all the way around. Once those villagers are inside there, and you'll bring them up, as I mentioned, in a water column here. Once they're inside and closed off, you replace that slab there, and they are not going anywhere. You can place 1 bucket of water in there, 1 bucket of water in there. That will make sure that any golems that are spawned on this platform, and they can only spawn on this platform once you remove these here, they will be funneled to the middle and fall very nicely down into that water tray at the bottom. Now, whether you use scaffold to get up here or whether you just use the towering up, that's entirely up to you. If you use scaffold, then dead easy, just go down your scaffold. If you didn't use scaffold, throw yourself into the water and make sure you don't fall in the lava, and swim yourself all the way around, and repeat the same process on this side. Use 3 different workstations, because then you're absolutely certain that the villagers at that end aren't associated with anything here, and vice versa. You should have 2 pods at either end that look a little bit like that. These pods are sufficiently far away from each other and from the golem spawning platforms that these villagers cannot see these golems, and these villagers cannot see these golems, so they do not interact with each other. Come around the back here and come out 1, 2, and then 1 more. And on that 1 more, you want to be coming out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this side. Do that on both ends and then join them up with a straight line coming all the way along like this. Once you've completed your ring, you should find that you've got long edges that are 39 blocks long and shorter edges that are 13 blocks long. Then come down to either of the short edges. Come to the right hand side of your pod as you look at it and pop down a water just there. That's going to flow down both sides. Don't worry about it. It is only temporary. Then count yourself in 1, 2, 3 and 4. Underneath the fifth one, you need to place a block, and this is the reason why we've got this water stream. Come up the water stream. Don't allow yourself to flow down as fast as I just did. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the fifth one, pop yourself a block, and then that one, and then that one, and then you can come back up again and get out of your water stream and collect up your water. Then crouch across and pop another block on the side of each of those, and then take out the 2 blocks at the beginning, so 1 and 2, but leave that last one there. Then create yourself a slightly open area like that. Come up here, pop a gap, and then another one, and then another one like that. So you've got yourself a pyramid that looks like that, fairly simply. Now I did that walking on the platform. I wasn't flying around. It isn't that hard to do. Then what you need to do is come onto this part of the platform, pop that block out, and you need to get yourself just a few little redstone-y bits. You need 2 comparators, 3 bits of redstone, a redstone torch, and I've got a normal torch because I like to put a normal torch in that gap. It serves no function other than making it lighter. It really doesn't matter. Shift click, come out to the edge and place a redstone torch on the side of that block there on the underside. And then what you're going to do, you're going to get yourself your redstone comparator, because you want kind of a redstone comparator clock here that has a reduction effect. What happens is the redstone compares the signal of the comparator next to it, and it slowly declines the strength of that signal. So put in redstone there, there and there, and when it picks up a redstone signal here, it goes into the block. That block then comes charges that block, which charges this redstone, which comes in here. That then has got a signal strength that is stronger than that, and it slowly diminishes down until it has a value of 0. And what that allows us to do is to hold a minecart on here, on this block, for long enough to scare the bejesus out of the villagers if it's got a zombie in it. Repeat exactly the same circuit at the other end. Come up to the top of one of your pyramids and just pop a block, temporary block, on top of that roof area. That is going to be the roof of your track. So pop a bottom slab on there, get rid of your temporary block, and another bottom slab there, which should directly now be over your head. Run that all the way around the entirety of that track, so it is 13 by 39 in a ring. It should look something like that. That is going to protect the zombie from burning up during the day as it swings around this track. Then come to one of the long edges and place minecart tracks all the way along until about halfway, and then put in 3 powered rails and then put the rest as normal rails. Now those 3 powered rails aren't entirely necessary. The track, or the zombie, will manage to get all the way around this track without there being any powered rails in the middle. But I personally like to give them just that little bit of a boost, because otherwise it's just, if there's even slightly a little bit of lag, it could lag you out, and as a result stop the minecart travelling around, and that would break your farm. So pop that on, repeat it on the other side, and then on this side you need to get a little bit more fancy. So have 1 powered rail, 1 powered rail, 1 powered rail, and then on top here you need to get yourself a detector rail connected to another power rail. Then get a normal rail and a normal rail, and then all the way along right to the corner, but not the corner, you want powered rails. Get rails all the way along exactly the same as the other side, with 3 powered rails in the middle, and then repeat what I just did at the other end. Powered rail, powered rail, powered rail, powered rail, detector rail, normal rail, normal rail, powered rail, powered rail, powered rail, and powered rail. Very, very simple. And then at each end, you need to power these powered rails. So again, get yourself a lever, shift click, doesn't matter which block you put it on, put a lever on the side and power it on, and do the same at the other end. So my villager is transported to the bottom of the water elevator, which I'll explain to you in a second. They just love them. They don't even need much encouragement. They just need ever so much of a tap, and up they go to the top of the water column. Do that 3 times to get 3 villagers at the top. You may find, if you scaffold yourself up the top, you may find that they sometimes bob at the top like this. Well, all you need to do is give them a bit of a nudge when they're except that bloke's in the way. Give them a bit of a nudge and off they go. And they will select their workstation. They will select, close that up, select their bed, and they'll be happy as Larry. Get 3 of them up here and you'll be really happy too. Also, do it at the other end. The water elevator could not be simple. It is a 3x3 hollow tube that goes from the ground right up to the end here. Now, you don't have to deconstruct this water elevator once it's there. In fact, I do recommend that you keep it, because if you keep it and you have any problems with any villagers for whatever reason, it's really easy for you to replace the villager. What you might wish to do is just put a slab or something like that across it, just to stop them messing around in the water, because sometimes they get a bit giggly. Once you've got your 3 villagers in their pod, they'll be quite happy. They can sleep, they can work. Look, see what I didn't do there? I didn't block it off. He likes to have a little dance, right? Yes, you're having a little dance because you went in the water. You're a naughty boy. Block it off with a half slab there. Also, make sure that you put half slab all the way around these full blocks here. Otherwise, they become Iron Golem spawnable blocks. And the last thing you want is for your Iron Golem to spawn on the edge, because they can, from there, believe it or not, reach the zombie that comes past in a minecart and batter it, and it will die. 1 hit sometimes. They're quite hard. Make sure you have removed these spacer blocks that you put in earlier when you were putting your track in. You don't want them being there so as any Iron Golems can spawn on those blocks. That would be a disaster. I made a slight error earlier, so make sure that you look at your powered rails and your detector rails in this. It is 3 powered rails, then a detector rail, then 2 normal rails, and on the other side of that you have powered rails all the way down to the corner. Let me repeat that. 3 powered rails, 1 detector rail, 2 normal rails, and then powered rails all the way to the end. You can change this now quite simply. I apologise for that error. Bring yourself a zombie up onto your rail tracks. Now, Phil's got a great method of getting zombies into a water elevator, and I do recommend you go and see that video. Link is in the description below from his Alpha Craft series. Now, I've called him Bob by labelling him with a name tag. You don't have to do that, but I find that that's the nicest way. You can get them to pick up an item. They won't despawn if they're holding an item as well, but name tags I find just a little bit more reliable. Then block him off before you bring him up, so as he cannot walk along the tracks. Make sure that you have a minecart outside of these blocks, otherwise you're not going to be able to push it without the zombie eating your face. And just on the other side of the powered rails along the side. It's another reason why the powered rails are quite a good idea. Make sure it is pointing at the side that's got the detector rail on it, not the side that is just powered rails. Otherwise it's going to go over it in entirely the wrong direction. And then all you need to do is get this side of the minecart and give it a little push. That zombie will then cycle around and around, and as he goes past the villagers, they get a little bit panicky. I've set the daylight cycle back to true, so as I had it on false whilst I was building the build, but I've set the daylight cycle back to true, and that will now start the villagers being able to work at their workstations and sleep in their beds. And after a little while, once they've done the working and sleeping bit, we'll start to see Iron Golems spawning on top of these platforms. And you can see there the first Iron Golems starting to spawn, and eventually that Iron Golem will push itself off of that platform. Except it won't, because I forgot to do the obvious thing and remove the blocks underneath. Okay, schoolboy error. What you need to do is make sure you remove the blocks under the gate. I can't believe I forgot to do that. Little bit of a mistake, whoopsie. But those golems will now fall down into the fiery furnace. They will slowly lower themselves into the fire. And as they sink, they will die in that chamber, and the chamber will collect up the iron for us. And we should see that we get a golem around about every 3, maybe 4 cycles, because that's how long it takes for the villagers to reset their "I haven't got a golem, but I really need one" clock. There goes another one. And there comes another one. You can see they are completely independent of each other. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come down to the bottom here, and I'm going to see how much iron we've got in this bottom chest. So we've already got a little bit of iron there. I'm going to stand around and I'm going to see how long it takes for us to get an hour or two's worth of iron. See what the yield is going to be. In the meantime, you might want to just fence off the area around your iron farm. There are a number of mobs that are going to be lurking around here. You might want to make some provision for skellies that might want to poke your eye out with their arrows. But what you don't want to do is die whilst you're sat down here waiting for your iron. But bear in mind, this is not an AFK farm. As long as this chunk is loaded, it will keep producing golems. It does not require you to be sat here waiting, flicking buttons or anything like that. They just keep on coming. That one is looking a little bit stubborn, but it got there in the end. The farm's been going for just over an hour now, about an hour and 8 minutes, because I went and made a cup of tea and I missed my deadline. I meant to do it at an hour, but it's an hour and 8 minutes. And oh, there's another one dropping in. And in an hour and 8 minutes, we have gained 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and a third stacks. 11 and a third stacks. So that's actually not too shabby. We've also gained 1, 2, very nearly 3 stacks of poppies in an hour and 8 minutes time. So that is one very expandable, very easy to make in survival iron farm. Not that complicated in terms of its structure, and the hardest thing is probably getting the entities up into the farm in the first place. Other than that, it's a real doddle. A little bit of a nod to Nembon, who came up with the redstone pyramid-y thing at the end in terms of being able to pause that minecart going around. So I definitely had to nod to him on that little design process. If you have enjoyed this video, please do remember to slap that like button. It'd be great to know you're enjoying it, and I will keep on making them. Also, if you've not done it already, please do hit that subscribe button. It'd be great to see you in my sub club, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. You take it easy now. Bye.